In the heart of the mysterious Transylvanian countryside, shrouded in fog and shadows, stood the legendary Castle Moonsilver. Once a grand hotel, its glory days had long faded into the annals of time. Now, it lay abandoned, its walls echoing with eerie whispers and chilling moans that sent shivers down the spines of those who dared to approach. Legend spoke of a tragic past that had befallen the hotel, a tale of lost souls and unspeakable horrors that had cursed the castle for centuries. In the 1800s, a nobleman named Count Vladen owned Castle Moonsilver, living there with his beautiful wife, Lady Isadora. One fateful night, during a grand masquerade ball, Lady Isadora vanished without a trace. Count Vladen's heart broke, and his grief turned to madness. Rumors spread like wildfire, accusing the Count of having committed an unspeakable act, damning his soul for all eternity. Haunted by the memory of his beloved Isadora, the Count retreated into the dark corners of Castle Moonsilver, shunning the outside world. He became reclusive, descending into a state of melancholy that tainted every stone of the castle. The once glorious halls echoed with his mournful cries, and a foreboding aura enveloped the abandoned hotel. Years passed, and the castle became a place of fear and dread for the local villagers, who spoke in hushed tones of ghostly apparitions and inexplicable phenomena. They believed that the souls of Lady Isadora and other tormented spirits roamed the halls, seeking solace and redemption. One dark and stormy night, for intrepid travelers, Adrian, Maria, Alex, and Elena, found themselves seeking shelter from the tempestuous weather. Lost and exhausted, they stumbled upon the towering silhouette of Castle Moonsilver, unaware of the horrors that lay within. Hesitant but with no other choice, they crossed the creaking drawbridge and entered the castle's dimly lit halls. The air was thick with the scent of decay, and the sound of distant footsteps echoed through the corridors, though no one seemed to be there. As they explored the forsaken hotel, they discovered a grand ballroom, adorned with elegant chandeliers and a decaying grand piano. A melancholic melody seemed to linger in the air, as if an unseen pianist continued to play in the darkness. Maria, the adventuress of the group, couldn't resist the allure of the haunting melody. She sat at the grand piano and played a haunting tune that matched the somber atmosphere. The others listened in awe, but as the last note lingered in the air, the ballroom seemed to come alive with ghostly apparitions, swirling in a macabre waltz. Startled, Maria stepped away from the piano, but the spirits seemed drawn to her music. They beckoned her to join their spectral dance, and despite her fear, an inexplicable compulsion pushed her to comply. Adrian, Alex, and Elena watched in horror as Maria's form seemed to blur with that of the apparitions. It was as if she had become one with the ghosts of Castle Moonsilver. The room felt colder, and a feeling of dread enveloped them. Desperate to save Maria, they followed the ethereal trail that led them deeper into the heart of the castle. The walls seemed to whisper to them, and strange symbols adorned the hallways, each telling a story of sorrow and despair. At last, they reached the former living quarters of Count Vladen and Lady Isadora. The room was untouched by time, and a portrait of the ill-fated couple hung on the wall, their eyes seeming to follow every movement. As they studied the portrait, they noticed an intricate design etched into the floor, surrounding a hidden trapdoor. The symbols matched those they had seen throughout the castle, and it became clear that they were part of a ritual, a key to unlocking the mysteries of Castle Moonsilver. Believing that this ritual might hold the key to freeing Maria from the grasp of the vengeful spirits, they gathered the courage to perform it. They chanted the ancient incantations they had read in forgotten books, hoping to appease the restless souls that haunted the castle. As the last syllables left their lips, the air around them seemed to tremble with an unseen force. A chilling wind swept through the room, extinguishing their candles and plunging them into darkness. When the candles were relit, the room had changed. The portrait of Count Vladen and Lady Isadora now depicted them in their true form, not as a happy couple, but as tormented souls forever trapped in their sorrow. The hidden trapdoor creaked open, revealing a passage that led deep into the bowels of the castle. Adrian, Alex, and Elena knew that they had to descend into the depths to rescue Maria from the grasp of the malevolent spirits that held her captive. With trembling hearts, they ventured into the darkness, knowing that the horrors they would face in the depths of Castle Moonsilver would be beyond their darkest nightmares. The haunted hotel held more secrets than they could have ever imagined, and the tragic fate of Count Vladen and Lady Isadora was just the beginning of the bone-chilling horrors that awaited them. As Adrian, Alex, and Elena ventured deeper into the bowels of Castle Moonsilver, the air grew colder, and an oppressive darkness surrounded them. Every step they took seemed to echo through the ancient stone corridors, as if the castle itself was aware of their intrusion. The passage led them to a crypt-like chamber, adorned with cobwebs and dusty relics of the past. At the center of the room stood an ornate sarcophagus, its lid covered in strange symbols that seemed to pulse with an eerie glow. As they cautiously approached the sarcophagus, the symbols began to emanate an otherworldly light, illuminating the chamber with an unsettling hue. Elena's heart pounded in her chest, her instincts warning her to turn back, but the desperate need to save Maria pushed them forward. In a voice barely above a whisper, Elena recited an incantation she had discovered in one of the ancient books they had brought with them. The symbols on the sarcophagus reacted, and the lid trembled, as if resisting their intrusion. Suddenly, a chilling gust of wind swept through the chamber, extinguishing their candles once again. In the darkness, they could hear faint whispers, as if unseen entities circled around them, mocking their intrusion. With a final surge of determination, Adrian, Alex, and Elena relit their candles and resumed their chant. The sarcophagus lid quivered and finally began to shift, revealing a sight that would forever be seared into their minds. Inside the sarcophagus lay the lifeless form of Lady Isadora, preserved as if she had passed away only moments ago. Her beauty was haunting, but her eyes were empty and devoid of life. It was as if her soul had long abandoned her body, leaving her trapped in an eternal slumber. As the realization struck them, a mournful wail echoed through the chamber. It was Maria's voice, resonating from somewhere within the depths of Castle Moonsilver. Fear gripped their hearts, and they knew they had to press on to save their friend. They left Lady Isadora's sarcophagus behind and followed the haunting cries, winding through labyrinthine passages that seemed to twist and turn without rhyme or reason. The further they delved, the more the castle seemed to change around them, as if its very structure was alive and shifting. At last, they reached a chamber bathed in an otherworldly glow. In the center stood a peculiar statue of a hooded figure, its face obscured by shadows. The statue held out its hand, and in it, an ethereal orb pulsed with a haunting light. The orb was familiar to them, it was the same orb of illusions that had ensnared Maria during their encounter with the haunted piano. The realization dawned upon them that the orb was the key to Maria's liberation, but the figure guarding it seemed to challenge their every move. As they cautiously approached, the hooded figure's presence grew more oppressive, and the orb's glow intensified. It was as if the statue itself was a sentinel, tasked with guarding the powerful artifact. Adrian, recalling the legends surrounding the enigmatic enchantress, realized that the statue represented her. The enchantress, in her pursuit of power, had been drawn to Castle Moonsilver and the Orb of Illusions. But the artifact's force had ensnared her, dooming her to an eternity of guarding it from intruders. Understanding the perilous situation they were in, the trio formulated a plan. Elena used her knowledge of ancient rituals to create a diversion, casting an illusion to confuse the hooded figure while Alex and Adrian made a dash for the orb. With each step, the air grew heavier, and the room seemed to twist and distort. The hooded figure's presence intensified, and a chorus of ghostly moans filled the chamber. It was as if the spirits of Castle Moonsilver were united against their intrusion. Alex and Adrian finally reached the orb, and just as they were about to grab it, the statue's hooded gaze fixed upon them. The diversion faltered, and the illusion shattered, leaving them exposed before the sentinel. With a haunting cry, the hooded figure released an otherworldly blast that sent them flying across the chamber. Elena, desperate to aid her friends, summoned all her strength and redirected the figure's attention to her. As the statue turned towards Elena, the room seemed to come alive with malicious intent. The walls closed in, and the ceiling descended upon them, threatening to crush them all. Elena's heart pounded in her chest as she struggled to maintain her focus. In that moment of peril, a voice whispered to her, urging her to see beyond the illusions, to embrace her courage and banish from the orb. Elena understood that the orb's true power lay not in its ability to create illusions but in its capacity to dispel them. With newfound clarity, Elena channeled her strength and called upon the power of the orb. The aura that had surrounded the chamber began to wane, and the hooded figure's menacing presence faltered. In a last desperate attempt to reclaim its power, the hooded figure lunged at Elena, but she stood firm. With a burst of radiant light, the statue crumbled into dust, releasing the orb from its curse. The room fell silent, and the haunting cries faded away. The orb of illusions pulsed gently in Elena's hands, its power finally quelled. It was as if Castle Moonsilver itself acknowledged their triumph. With the orb in their possession, Adrian, Alex, and Elena knew that they had a chance to save Maria from the clutches of the vengeful spirits. But the ordeal was far from over, for the haunted hotel held many more chilling secrets, each one testing their resilience and courage. As they prepared to face the next chapter of their bone-chilling adventure, they knew that the spirits of Castle Moonsilver were not to be underestimated, and that the enigmatic enchantress's curse had only been the beginning of the horrors that awaited them in the cursed castle. With the Orb of Illusions in their possession, Adrian, Alex, and Elena retraced their steps back through the twisting passages of Castle Moonsilver. The weight of their journey bore down upon them, for they knew that the spirits that haunted the castle would not relinquish Maria easily. As they approached the chamber where Lady Isadora's sarcophagus rested, they noticed a faint, ethereal glow surrounding the once lifeless body. The orb seemed to react to the presence of the deceased lady, and the symbols etched upon the sarcophagus began to pulse in unison with the orb. Elena realized that the orb had the power to awaken and release trapped souls, and with a surge of hope, they performed the same incantation that had previously set the hooded figure free. The glow intensified, and Lady Isadora's eyes fluttered open, her gaze meeting theirs. "Who are you? Why do you seek to disturb my eternal rest?" Lady Isadora's voice echoed like a haunting melody. Adrian, with a voice filled with empathy, explained their purpose and how Maria had become ensnared by the haunting symphony that filled the castle. He implored Lady Isadora to help them save their friend, to end the curse that had plagued the castle for centuries. For a moment, Lady Isadora's face softened with sadness. The haunting symphony, a melody that torments the souls trapped within these walls. I too was ensnared by its haunting allure, condemned to remain in this accursed place. My beloved Vladen, driven to madness by my disappearance, could not bear to see my lifeless form and chose to join me in the afterlife. She paused, her voice growing distant as she recollected memories from centuries past. I have seen many lost souls wander these halls, unable to escape the castle's grasp. The hooded figure you encountered, the enigmatic enchantress, was once like you, seeking power but succumbing to the darkness within the orb. Moved by Lady Isadora's tale of tragic love and her willingness to help, Elena asked if there was any way to break the curse and free Maria from the haunting symphony's hold. "There is a way," Lady Isadora replied, her voice laced with both sorrow and determination. "The power of the orb can be used to silence the haunting symphony, but it requires a sacrifice of one's deepest desires. The spirits draw strength from the dark desires that linger in the hearts of those who dare to set foot in this castle." Elena understood what she meant. They had to confront their innermost fears and regrets, offering them up to the orb to break the curse's hold. With heavy hearts, the trio agreed to face the trials that lay ahead. Lady Isadora guided them to a series of chambers, each representing the deepest fears and regrets of their souls. In one chamber, Adrian faced the specter of his long-lost sister, whose disappearance had haunted him for years. In another, Alex confronted the guilt he carried for not being there when his father passed away. Elena's trial was the most challenging. She faced the ghosts of her parents, who had perished in a tragic accident when she was a child. Their spectral forms spoke of how much they loved her, but Elena couldn't shake the burden of survivor's guilt. Each trial tested their resolve, pushing them to confront their darkest moments and offer them up to the orb. As they sacrificed their fears and regrets, the haunting symphony's grip on Castle Moonsilver began to weaken. At last, they returned to the chamber where Lady Isadora waited. Her gratitude and relief were evident in her eyes as she thanked them for their bravery. But she warned them that the ultimate test remained. They had to confront the mastermind behind the haunting symphony. The force that had twisted the powers of the orb to its will was none other than the soul of Count Vladen himself. Consumed by grief and madness, he had sought to preserve the memory of his beloved Lady Isadora through the haunting symphony, trapping her spirit within the castle's walls. With the Orb of Illusions as their weapon, they ascended to the highest tower of Castle Moonsilver, where Vladen's spirit resided. The atmosphere was charged with an otherworldly energy, and ghostly apparitions surrounded them, creating a nightmarish maze. Vladen's presence manifested as a spectral figure, his eyes filled with rage and despair. The haunting symphony swirled around him, threatening to engulf them all. Elena, as the keeper of the orb, stepped forward to face Vladen. With unwavering resolve, she offered the orb as a trade for the release of his beloved Lady Isadora. The spirit hesitated, torn between his love for Isadora and the torment that fueled his rage. In a moment of clarity, Vladen finally understood the price of his actions. With a mournful cry, he released Lady Isadora's spirit from the haunting symphony's grasp. The ghostly music ceased, and the castle walls seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. As the souls of Lady Isadora and Vladen finally found peace, the haunting symphony faded away, leaving Castle Moonsilver in an eerie silence. The spirits that once tormented the hotel found solace, and the curse that had plagued the castle for centuries was broken. With Maria freed from the haunting symphony's hold, the four friends made their way out of Castle Moonsilver, leaving behind the ghosts and the memories of their bone-chilling adventure. The haunted hotel would forever be a place of legends and whispered tales, but it was also a testament to the power of courage, friendship, and the strength to confront one's deepest fears. As they emerged from the castle's shadow, the Transylvanian sun bathed them in its warm light, a symbol of hope and a new beginning. Adrian, Alex, Elena, and Maria knew that they had faced true horror and emerged stronger from the experience. Their bond deepened by the trials they had faced together. They walked away from Castle Moonsilver, forever changed by the haunting mysteries of the cursed hotel. Months had passed since Adrian, Alex, Elena, and Maria's bone-chilling adventure at Castle Moonsilver. Though they had broken the curse and freed the tormented souls, the haunted hotel had left an indelible mark on their lives. The friends had grown closer, bound by the haunting memories of their encounter with the spirits. As autumn descended upon Transylvania, the foursome found themselves drawn back to the region. A sense of unease gnawed at them, and they couldn't escape the feeling that the shadows of Castle Moonsilver were still watching from the corners of their minds. Determined to put the past behind them, they embarked on a seemingly innocent road trip, exploring the rugged beauty of Transylvania's countryside. The picturesque landscape did little to ease the lingering dread, as if the very earth itself was a tapestry woven with haunting tales. One evening, while seeking shelter from a sudden storm, they stumbled upon an old inn nestled within the woods. The innkeeper, a stooped old man with haunted eyes, welcomed them with a knowing smile, as if he sensed the darkness that lingered in their hearts. Unbeknownst to them, this inn had its own dark history, whispered about by the locals. It was said that the inn was once a haven for a coven of vengeful witches, who had been executed in the nearby village centuries ago. Their maliciousness had seeped into the very walls, and the inn had been cursed ever since. Despite the innkeeper's hospitality, the friends felt an inexplicable chill in the air. The corridors seemed to twist and elongate, and strange shadows danced on the walls. Elena's heart raced, and a sense of déjà vu washed over her, as if she had walked these halls in a nightmare. As night fell, the inn took on an eerie atmosphere. The creaking floorboards seemed to echo with ghostly footsteps, and the wind whispered mournful melodies. Adrian, the ever-curious explorer, couldn't resist delving into the inn's history, hoping to shed light on the unsettling vibes that surrounded them. In the inn's dusty attic, he stumbled upon a hidden cache of old letters and artifacts. The letters spoke of the vengeful witches who had once inhabited the inn, cursing it with their dying breaths. They sought retribution against those who had wronged them, even in death. Maria's eyes widened as she read the letters, and a sense of foreboding settled over her. She feared that the spirits of the witches had not been laid to rest, that they had endured through the ages, and now they were trapped within the inn's walls. As they retreated from the attic, Adrian accidentally knocked over an ancient-looking glass, shattering it into pieces. A sudden gust of wind swept through the room, and the shattered shards seemed to take on a life of their own, twisting and reforming into ghostly silhouettes. Before their very eyes, the spirits of the vengeful witches materialized, their eyes burning with rage. They spoke in a chilling, unified voice, vowing revenge against the living for their suffering and demise. Elena, recalling the power of the Orb of Illusions, retrieved it from her bag. She knew they had to confront the witches and put their spirits to rest. With the orb in hand, she chanted the incantation she had learned during their encounter with Count Vladen. As the words left her lips, the orb glowed with a radiant light. The witches' intents waned, and a battle of wills ensued. The spirits of the vengeful witches lashed out, but Elena's determination remained unshaken. In a final act of defiance, the witches attempted to merge their spirits with the inn, hoping to claim it as their eternal stronghold. But the power of the orb was too great, and Elena channeled its energy to sever the witches' connection to the inn. With a mournful wail, the spirits dissipated, leaving behind an eerie silence. The presence that had haunted the inn for centuries lifted, and the shadows that once danced on the walls seemed to retreat. The old inn had been cleansed of the witch's presence, and the friends finally felt a sense of peace. But the chilling encounter had left them even more aware of the darkness that lurked in the corners of the world. As they bid farewell to the innkeeper, he gazed at them with a mixture of sadness and understanding. "You have faced true horror and emerged triumphant," he said. "But remember, darkness never truly vanishes, it merely finds new places to hide." With those words etched in their minds, the four friends resumed their journey, knowing that their bone-chilling adventures were far from over. The haunted tales of Transylvania would forever be woven into their lives, a reminder that in the darkest of moments, courage and friendship were their greatest weapons against the shadows that lurked in the world. As Adrian, Alex, Elena, and Maria continued their journey through Transylvania, the memories of their bone-chilling adventures weighed heavily on their minds. Each night, they sought refuge in various inns and lodges, trying to escape the shadows that seemed to follow them everywhere. However, they couldn't escape the feeling that their encounters with Castle Moonsilver and the haunted inn were connected, part of a larger, sinister tapestry that awaited them. The land itself seemed to be a living entity, whispering tales of darkness. Their next destination was an ancient castle rumored to hold secrets of long-forgotten rituals and dark rites. The castle stood perched on a hill, its towering spires reaching towards the sky like skeletal fingers. It was said to be the lair of an enigmatic sorcerer who had mastered the arcane arts. As they approached the castle, a sense of trepidation settled in their hearts. The very air was charged with an eerie energy, and the castle's imposing silhouette sent a shiver down their spines. Inside, they found an ornate library filled with ancient tomes and grimoires, each containing knowledge that was both forbidden and enticing. The castle's lore spoke of a ritual called the Awakening of Shadows, a ceremony that could unleash a horde of vengeful spirits upon the world. Elena, now attuned to the mysteries of the arcane, realized that the ritual's completion could be catastrophic. It could open a gateway to the spirit realm, allowing entities to escape and wreak havoc upon the living. With their past experiences as guides, the four friends decided to thwart the sorcerer's dark ambitions and prevent the Awakening of Shadows. Armed with the knowledge they had gained from Castle Moonsilver and the haunted inn, they devised a plan to disrupt the ritual. The sorcerer's lair was filled with intricate runes and symbols, protecting the ritual's sanctum. Adrian, the scholar of the group, deciphered the protective wards and created illusions to deceive the sorcerer's minions, allowing them to move unnoticed. As they infiltrated deeper into the castle, the echoes of haunting laughter and ghostly cries filled the air. The spirits of the sorcerer's victims seemed to surround them, urging them onward in their quest to stop the ceremony. At last, they reached the heart of the castle, where the ritual was set to take place. The sorcerer, a hooded figure with eyes that glowed like embers, stood at the center of a pentagram adorned with the symbols of the damned. The room pulsated with an ominous energy, and the friends knew that time was running out. Elena, wielding the Orb of Illusions, stepped forward to disrupt the ritual while Adrian, Alex, and Maria confronted the sorcerer's minions. With a powerful incantation, Elena unleashed the orb's radiant light, dispelling the energy that fueled the sorcerer's ritual. The room shook with a tremendous force, and the castle itself seemed to groan under the weight of the disrupted ceremony. In a furious rage, the sorcerer turned his attention to Elena. His eyes bore into her soul, attempting to bend her will to his dark desires. But she resisted, drawing strength from her friend's unwavering support. As the confrontation escalated, the sorcerer's powers unleashed a torrent of spirits, each vying to escape into the world. Elena, with the orb's power, fought back the spirits, refusing to let them break free. In a final act of desperation, the sorcerer channeled all his dark energy, aiming to strike down Elena and claim the orb for himself. But Adrian, Alex, and Maria rallied to her aid, creating a protective barrier that shielded her from the sorcerer's attack. With unity and determination, the friends combined their strength, and the orb's light intensified. The sorcerer's powers waned, and the spirits he had unleashed dissipated like smoke in the wind. Defeated and weakened, the sorcerer retreated into the shadows, vanishing from sight. The castle itself seemed to sigh in relief, and the aura that had once enveloped it dissipated. As dawn broke over the horizon, the four friends emerged from the ancient castle, triumphant in their victory against the sorcerer. Their bone-chilling adventure had reached its conclusion, and the shadows that had haunted them seemed to withdraw. In the aftermath, they felt a profound sense of growth and unity. The trials they had faced had forged bonds stronger than any dark magic, and they knew that their friendship was their greatest weapon against the evil intent that lurked in the world. As they bid farewell to Transylvania and its haunting tales, they knew that their bone-chilling adventures had forever changed them. The memories of Castle Moonsilver, the haunted inn, and the sorcerer would forever be etched in their hearts, but they also knew that their courage and friendship would endure. Their journey had taught them that true strength lay not in the absence of fear, but in confronting one's deepest terrors and standing united against maliciousness. And so, they ventured into the unknown, knowing that whatever darkness they might encounter in the future, they would face it together, bound by the shadows of the heart.